Hello, welcome to the Spring 2019, where you're taking the Diverse Populations course. I'm your instructor, Dr. Jandel Crutchfield, and this is my first year at UTA. I'm coming from the University of Mississippi by way of Louisiana State University. My background is as a school social worker, so I've actually practiced as a school social worker in public schools throughout Louisiana and Mississippi from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And so I'm really interested in how school social workers can be advocates to create structural change, dealing with racial equity in schools, in addition to teachers and administrators. And so I found a passion in teaching future social workers like yourselves about the differences between different types of groups, whether it's culturally, gender-based, religious-based, all the things that we should appreciate about others. Sometimes we don't, and so that limits our effectiveness in terms of practice. And so I'm happy to guide you through this course. Today's video is just getting you started on the right foot so that you know what exactly is required of you. We're going to cover the syllabus, and we're going to take a look through the course in Blackboard so you can see how it's set up. And so the best way to get in touch with me is to email me. And I try to check email between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And so if you do email me after that, I may get back to you the next day, but I typically try to get back to you within 24 hours. I do travel for conferences, and so I'm not always in the office. So don't expect an immediate response via email. But I also have office hours by appointments if you want to stop in. If you're not physically in Arlington or near campus, we can always arrange to talk over Zoom, Skype, Google Hangouts, whatever we need, or even over the phone. So let's get started. I'll share my screen. And so what I'm sharing is how to get into our course in Blackboard. It is the Diverse Populations Spring 2019, Section 3. And so the way I have the course set up is, of course, there'll be announcements. And so this is the first announcement that kind of gives you some of the expectations. All of your work that has to be done for the semester, whether that's your readings, the lectures, your quizzes, you can access those things by clicking here on course materials. And so if you'll see, I have all of the 15 modules already there for you. Each module, once you complete it, is worth 10 points. And so you'll also have 10 quizzes that are worth 10 points each. And so at the end of the course, in addition to your writing, you'll be able to hopefully manage to get a good grade. I know you guys want to learn as much as you want to get a good grade, but hopefully those things match up pretty well. And so what you'll do is each week you'll have a module. And so you click on the module, and it's already preloaded with information. And so typically I have a short introductory video that just kind of tells you what the content is going to be, the readings, what you're required to read in the book for the chapter. Let's see, lecture materials. I actually have the slides. You can go at your own pace. You can read over them. Web links and videos to kind of answer any lingering questions. I usually like to try to include things that are current events that are happening, and we have a lot happening in American society all over the world right now. So your discussions, let me explain how those work. So you click on discussion boards, and each of the discussions that are due for the week pop up. And so during the first module, you have to complete 2 discussion boards. Discussion board 1A and 1B. You do that by clicking. You can read what the description is, and then you go in and click the discussion board and create your own thread, and that's where you type in the information for your response. So you'll have to respond to discussions. You'll also have to reply to 2 of your classmates to get the full credit for that discussion in the module. If there is a quiz for the module, not every module will have a quiz because there's only 10 quizzes. You will see it here, and you'll just click on it and begin the quiz. And the quizzes are open notes, open book, so you can feel free to use whatever you need to answer those quiz questions. Now let me look at discussion. Let's see, which one is only one? So if you look at module 5 and you click on the discussion, go to the discussion board. Discussion board for module 5, there's only one. And so typically you'll have a choice between discussion boards. So an example is discussion board 3A and discussion board 3B. So that means for module 3, you only have to choose one of those. So you will either answer 3A or you will answer 3B. You don't have to answer both, but you do need to answer one and then respond to 2 classmates. Some of the discussions for particular modules will only have one option, and so that's the option you need to complete. So anytime there's an A and a B, you can choose one, except for the first week. Module 1, you have to complete both. So I hope that's clear. Email me if you have questions about that. So going back to course materials, you can see that here, quizzes, the midterm is usually around module 8. And so you'll see quizzes and tests midterm time, and you'll have a brief discussion during that week. So let's look at the syllabus. And I sent this to you guys, and I've gotten just a few questions, but again, my office hours are by appointment. This is an online course. My office is in the B building of the social work complex. Some of you have asked about the online access code for the book. You will not need that. You'll just need the book. And again, remember, a lot of the work is open notebook, open notes, open textbook. So you'll want to have that book. So here are the major things you have to do. I talked to you about your discussion boards. There's 15 of them corresponding with the 15 modules. And so you earn 10 points for any given session. You have to respond to 1 new discussion board. So choose, and then respond to 2 of your classmates' postings. And so you want to demonstrate thoughtfulness and effort in your response. And so the first discussion boards that you guys complete, I'll give you a pretty good sense in terms of feedback, whether you should continue doing what you've done for the first discussion board or whether you need to make changes. And then typically, I award you the full 10 points unless there's something glaring that I'll point out to you. I like to try to engage in the discussion boards with you. A lot of you may have jobs, and so you're working, and so you do a lot of your work on the weekends, and so that limits the ability for me to be able to respond and engage, and sometimes your other students as well. That's been an issue where everybody posts their first response on Friday, so it doesn't give people a lot of time by the deadline on Sunday. Discussion boards and modules will open up at 6 a.m. on a Monday, and you'll have to complete the discussion boards, quizzes, or whatever the assignments are by the following Sunday at 10 p.m. So that's listed here. 10 short quizzes. You have about 30 minutes to complete your quizzes, 10 questions, pretty straightforward, multiple choice, true, false. And again, they're open book. And I usually use those quizzes to inform the midterm and the final, so that way you're not learning a whole bunch of different things. I may ask them in different ways or give you different answer options or different examples, but generally, if you do well on your quizzes, you can do well in your midterm and final. So the big paper for the course is called the Out of Comfort Zone paper. So this is to try to push you out of your comfort zone. So you're going to be learning about concepts, and you guys as master's students have probably heard a lot about cultural differences in how people view the world. But we want to make sure that you get the experience of being in the minority, being in a new experience that makes you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, and how you then process those feelings and respond. Because you will be leading clients that may be different from you in any number of ways. And so being able to process and deal with the level of discomfort you may feel about your client's culture, background, whatever it may be, is very important. And so you have to choose an experience for this paper. Some examples might be visiting a mosque, a temple if you're not Jewish, some type of meeting of another race or culture, of another sexual orientation. Some people last semester visited the gay pride parades that were in Arlington, and so that was a good example. So I'm not really interested in you visiting a St. Patrick's Day parade because you're not Irish. These need to be gatherings of people that are marginalized, and hopefully as we go through the course, you'll understand what that means. So people who have faced some type of systemic discrimination based on who they are, who they worship, who they love. All right, so you'll have 2 exams. And the midterm and final are pretty straightforward again. The final will not be cumulative, so it won't be over everything for the whole course. It'll just be from the midterm forward. That's usually a question that people have. But the interesting thing about the exams are that you get to choose whether you want to have a quantitative or a qualitative exam. And so that means, do you want the multiple choice, true, false, type of test, which would be quantitative, or do you want to be able to do more of the essays or short answers where you have the chance to explain your thinking rather than picking A, B, C, or D? So you can choose either one, either type for the midterm and final, and you just do one of those to count. Attendance is not something that we take online, but I am able to monitor how much you participate in discussion boards, when you log in, how often you're seeing the course content. And so it's important that you stay engaged, particularly this first few weeks. I'll have an instructor check-in coming up the 3rd week. So that way I'm making sure that you have what you need, that you're keeping pace with the course. So there are about 550 points. The grade is on a 10-point scale, so a 90 is an A. Making up work or exams, sending me an email after something happens, I can't really assist you. If you know that something is pending, if you're having a surgery, you're having a baby, your grandfather's having surgery, you'll be out of town dealing with an emergency, please send me an email to let me know that's happening, and then I can try to arrange for you to make something up so that way you don't lose points. So if you look at the schedule here, again, you can see you have discussion boards every week. You have quizzes sometimes. Your out of comfort zone paper is due week 10. And here are all the interesting topics. So this first week, we're talking about paradigms. You know, sometimes it seems like there's a big gulf between you and the person sitting next to you, and you're like, you are the worst person in the world for what you think. You're evil. I can't stand what you represent. And so what chapter 1 is helping us see is that our worldview is shaped by so many things. Many of us, even growing up in the same home, you can have a different sort of paradigm depending on who you spent the most time with, who instilled in you the values that you have. And so I think some of the vitriol that we see in our political discourse, just in society, is due to the lack of understanding of paradigms. And so the 3rd week, you'll see I'll email you guys to ask if you want to check in with me via email, or if you want to try to give me a call, you can do that. And let's see what else. These other policies are pretty standard. If you need to communicate with me about a disability, please do that so we can make accommodations. Academic integrity. I trust that you guys understand that you should do your own work, and being in an online environment, there is a lot of trust that's afforded you because I'm not viewing you as you do your work. So again, making sure that you are emailing me if something comes up. No question is too big or small. The student feedback survey, I want you guys to begin thinking about this now. This is a good way for us to be able to revamp our courses or to try to make changes in the curriculum as students have recommendations. And so be thinking about, it's usually close to the end of the semester, so people are not really paying as much attention, but making sure that we fill out that student feedback survey. Okay, all right, so that's the syllabus. And let me see what else I want to cover. Your grades are listed here. Let's see. The student view is a bit different. So you'll see your names and all of the assignments here. And so typically, everybody wants to know about grading. Typically, I am done with your grading the following Sunday. So for the first week, your work will be due on Sunday, January, I think it's the 20th. Yes. And so you'll finish that and have everything turned in by the 20th. So then by the 27th, I'll have module 1 graded. So from the week before. As you're starting week 2, you can look for your grades to be coming up. So let me see what other questions people typically have. I think this is good. I make announcements about events on campus, different things happening in the School of Social Work, job opportunities. So be checking your announcements, particularly if I'm traveling or if something changes, if a due date changes, or if your classmates, if you want to share some information with your classmates about a topic that we're talking about that you've seen a video for, a documentary, or some experience with. I would love for this to be as engaging and as lively as possible. So again, everything you need is in course materials by clicking on the modules, your readings, your lecture slides, links, discussions, and if you have a quiz, that's it. All right, so stopping the share. So classes begin on Monday, so I expect all of you guys to be able to log in, and remember the course will be available beginning Monday. So email me if you have questions. Many of you guys have already done that. I look forward to a good semester. I think it'll be good, and good luck.